All right, everyone, welcome back to Karate Does Jiu-Jitsu. My name is Patrick Prager, and today we're going to take a look at some tournament footage from my recent gold medal win at the Jiu-Jitsu Worlds competition, one of their major competitions. This one had, I think, something like 5,200 competitors registered for the Saturday and Sunday. My division as a brown belt in Masters 2 was much smaller. Initially, it was 4 of us. And then in the last couple of days before registration deadline, a couple more dropped out. So it ended up being just me and one other competitor. But we still had to win 2 matches for gold. This was my first time having to do a best 2 out of 3, almost like a super match. So it was really interesting and definitely changed my strategy and how I approached it. And despite being one competitor, his name was Shay, and he was actually the brown belt season champion last year. So he ended up winning the SoCal finals and the NorCal finals. So despite my division ended up being only a single competitor, that competitor happened to be the season champion. So I knew I was going to really have to test myself, and I would end up seeing where I landed in the division after this match. And as you can see, we competed again in the Poly Pavilion at UCLA, a super special venue and one of the main reasons why I compete at this event every year. All right, so going into match number 1, I knew it was going to be a little bit of a feeling out period. Both of us knew that we had to win 2 out of 3, so you don't want to necessarily give away everything in the first round. I tried a little bit of my fake guard pull there. Didn't fully commit to it, just wanted to see how he would react. And right now I'm really just trying to make sure I maintain inside position. I reach around and turn the corner. He ends up pulling guard, really just kind of falling over. So I wanted to just establish from seeing some of his videos, I knew that he will be somewhat passive and then really explode. So I was waiting for these explosive moments and really just myself wanted to focus heavily on control. I was accidentally holding inside the gi there. That's why the ref gives me a little warning. But I switch over just to the wrist grip. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to bait to get that collar. But as soon as I put my hands on the collar, he explodes out and ends up keeping a pants grip, trips me. But working with one of my coaches, Sergio here, I never settle in positions. So I keep scrambling. With my right hand, I reach up to the collar and try to pull him back down over my shoulder, which I am successful with. Right here, I didn't know the ref had called time right about there. So I backstep into mount, thinking I secured the position. But he had called time, so he ended up resetting us back to the middle in this kind of butterfly hook. So I've tried a couple of my back steps, but he does a very good job of keeping that butterfly hook in. So I've resigned myself here to just kind of take my time. There have been no points established so far. So you got to be aware of that when you're going in competition, and sometimes slow down what you're doing and be a little more methodical, which I'm doing here. I'm pressuring forward, making sure I keep a nice balance with my double knee position. There is an ankle there if I wanted to fall back, but I ended up opting to try and pass here. Made a mistake of letting go of his pants grips too early, so he's able to regard. What I'm doing now is with my left hand, I'm fishing for a crossface, and I'm just trying to really pressure forward on his head and neck, flatten out his shoulders. And you see his legs are separated, so I am looking for that back step, but he does a good job of just monitoring whenever I am trying to do that. And will try to follow me and either explode out or will try to catch with a butterfly hook and maybe attempt to sweep. My coaches here are telling me that I have about 2 minutes 30 left, which is halfway through the time. So I'm kind of circling and pressuring and then find an opportunity to kick back. I'm waiting here. You can see he counts 3 seconds down the ref. And now my coach is telling me that I've secured my points. So I go to knee on belly next. I get 3 points for the pass, and then for this knee on belly position, I secured 2 more points. So now I'm up 5-0, and I know that even if I'm swept, that's only 2 points. So I do have a bit of a cushion here. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to work on possible chokes from this knee on belly position, and decide instead to switch over into mount. But he catches me in a 3/4 guard. So I don't mind this 3/4 position. If any of you have rolled with me, you know that I love bow and arrow chokes. So I'm just looking for an opportunity to pass my left arm under and perhaps grab his collar. And I do that by threatening the arms. He's doing a very good job of just keeping tight and protecting his neck. So while I am going for this, I know that last time I committed to it, he scrambled out. So I was aware of this. And in a second here, I believe he does try and scramble. He's starting to stand up, and we reset at this standing position again. I do trust my scrambles, and I like this kind of over grip on the belt. He attempts to pull, but it wasn't successful. Once again, I go for this overhand grip on the belt, and I'm controlling his sleeve as he controls mine. So we're kind of a little bit in a stalemate. I go out into a 2-on-1, and as I turn the corner, he attempts to scramble, but I fall into mount, securing the takedown points, the mount points for 4. I think the ref also actually gave me 3 additional points there for maybe a guard pass. But either way, I'm up something like 10-0 or 12-0. I knew that we were coming to the end of this round, so I am threatening the neck. I don't want to get called for any sort of stalling, although I'm not sure how much you can get called for stalling when you're in the top position. So I am attempting to threaten his neck here, but really strategically, I'm making sure that I maintain my balance and maintain my position and maintain my lead ultimately for the win in round number 1. So as I start to turn him here a little bit, I am looking for that collar once again to go for my favorite bow and arrow choke. My leg is in position, but I knew that time was running out, so the round finishes and I help my opponent up. Shay is a super nice guy and definitely talented. I'm definitely excited at the end of this win, but I do have in mind that there's still another 1, potentially 2 more rounds to go. So I'm not going to get overly excited one way or the other. There's still work to do, and we move on to the next round. Moving into the next round, I was keeping in mind that him and his coach were probably game planning something. So I was a little more wary at the beginning, especially in the takedown. Usually what will happen is when they see what your takedown style looks like, they'll go back and kind of workshop something. And that's exactly what happens here at the beginning. So he does an incredible sweep here where he's baiting my weight one way and then turns the corner, foot sweeps, and lands in side control for the 2-point takedown. We're at the very, very beginning of the round. So while I wasn't able to scramble initially, I was going to stay calm. What he ends up looking for is a wrist lock here, but my wrist is not in a position to be wrist lock. But it was in a position where he felt like he could wrist lock me, and he ends up kind of overcommitting his weight over my hips. My coach John here is reminding me of this. So I bump one way and then come back the other direction, bringing him forward. One thing I wish I would have done here is not just gone into his guard, but rather look to pass immediately. But I was definitely more conservative and ended up just getting the points for the sweep, or for the reversal rather. Because I didn't have a guard established, even though I reversed the position, there was no points awarded. So I ended up just getting the reversal position, no points. He's still up 2-0 at this point. Because we're in a pretty settled position with that closed guard, the referee sets us to the middle. And I'm comfortable breaking this closed guard. He didn't have my sleeve grip. He's trying to get it, but the ref reminds him he only has 1. And what I like to do here is I like to get a cross sleeve grip, which I'm going to do here. I'm going to double up and pass off to my right hand. Then I stand up on my left foot because he can't attack that leg. I'm going to lift him up. He likes to drop his legs here and go for a takedown. So I was ready for that and had a pants grip. I switch my pants grip to my right leg, hook my left arm around his back, and then I step over and turn the corner for a takedown. From here, John, one of my coaches, and I had talked about stacking his legs and then pummeling my feet over to pass, and we followed that game plan exactly. Got the 2 points for the takedown, managed to stack his legs, and then back step over, and now I'm up 5-2. 3 for the guard pass, 2 for the takedown, and he got 2 for his takedown. So for the rest of this match, I know he's getting tired. He's had to carry my weight a lot. You can see him up on the balls of my feet and my toes, and I'm just compressing his sternum and his diaphragm with my weight. I attempt to bring my knee up for knee on belly, but he immediately scrambles. This is what I mean. He'll wait, and then he'll explode. I backstep again, but he catches it. So now I'm just going to slow things down again. And I'm going to slow things down for another minute or 2 here. You'll see in the footage, I'm really just keeping my weight. I'm only up 3 points, so if he's able to sweep me, it's close, almost tied. If he sweeps and passes, then he'll be in the lead. So while it's not my preferred style to just kind of sit and be a little more methodical here, I tend to be more of a dynamic grappler. At the end of the day, strategy comes into tournaments. So I have a couple goals here. I want to flatten him out again. That's why I'm pulling up on his elbow. He's keeping it nice and tight, and his legs are locked, so I don't really have a great opportunity to pull my foot out. What I could do is a chair sit, which I'm trying to bring my left knee up. I need to work on my flexibility a little bit. I didn't feel like I had the proper position to chair sit and back take, but I am threatening his neck, and ultimately I do want a bow and arrow choke again. One of my coaches actually mentions that towards the end, that I am looking for it. The second thing I'm trying to do is get higher up on his body so he has less control of my leg. And now I switch my left knee under his hips here, and this will kind of secure the position as I look to threaten his neck. I'm really trying to threaten his neck to get him to forget about the legs. The more I threaten his neck, the more I'm able to work myself out of his guard, and that's exactly what happens. With the threat of the submission, he focuses his efforts on defending that, and I'm able to backstep. Next, I use the patented Sergio double knee ride here. Right now, I'm just kind of on the belly, but you'll see I'll take my left knee and put that on his shoulder and neck to flatten him out, which is really brutal position. I also have one of his lapels wrapped around his neck. So I'm really just putting a lot of pressure into him, controlling his leg there, and kind of riding out my victory. I think I'm up 10-2 at this point. He does one final big bump, but I'm able to switch to the opposite side, and I'll ride out the final 20 seconds or so, threatening mount at the end here, but securing the victory. I'm not sure if I felt more relief or happiness. I had built up this tournament in my head and had been preparing for months for this, my first tournament as a brown belt. But I felt super confident thanks to my coaches, James, who's my main coach that grades me at the Edge Martial Arts, and then my competition coach, who I train with every Friday, Coach Sergio Machado from Team 3. I wear both of their patches proudly on my back. I want to thank my opponent, and definite thanks and shout out to all my students who've been following along. That was one of the big reasons of relief, is I know I had a lot of my own students and training partners kind of following this tournament and to see how I do and following the progress. Thank you to John, Mr. Cox and Ashley for coaching me that day. It was super valuable to have them shouting out the time and the points and giving me some instruction there. And a special thank you to my wife. She was watching my daughter for hours that day, entertaining her in the stands, so my daughter got to watch me compete. And I definitely will be competing again as a brown belt. I hope you guys stay tuned for any of those videos, and I hope you have a great day.